Hello guys, welcome back all of you to my channel, and today we will be talking about acute kidney injury. So in acute kidney injury, first of all I will let you know that the acute kidney injury was previously in very old days, doctors used to tell is that acute renal failure. So in previous days it was known as acute renal failure, but now we call it as a acute kidney injury. So first question is why the name has changed now, why it was previously called as acute renal failure, and why acute kidney injury. So there is common thing that is acute in both cases, but there is a kidney and here is we have renal. Both have the same meaning, but due to the reason that the most of the general population do not know that the renal means kidney. Most of the normal laymen or other population do not know that the renal means kidney. That's why the kidney term was used. And usually whenever there is any kind of insult in the kidney, then first of all there the injury occurs, and once the injury is not corrected, then only the failure occurs. So failure is actually the severe point of the injury where the need of dialysis is necessary, where the need of renal dialysis is necessary. So in that time we will only call it as a failure. But in the initial insult, when the problem is a mild to moderate type, then there is no need of dialysis and the condition can be reversed. That's why it was known as injury. So to call it in any mild to moderate type of cases, if you will call it at a renal failure, then that will be a mistake. That's why very later acute renal failure was replaced and acute kidney injury was used. So this is the first question that many of the students have in their minds. The name is changed. Now let's start this topic from a very interesting case. There was a 60 years male who was non-case of the congestive heart failure, and he is having now the joint pain from he was having the joint pain from the 10 days and difficulty in walking. He started to take NSAIDs. And after 1 month of NSAIDs treatment, the symptoms were relieved, but he found out that after 1 month of NSAIDs taking, he found that his urine output was decreased. Then the question was what might be the diagnosis. So the patient was of congestive heart failure, having the joint pain for 10 days. He take NSAIDs and his pain was also relieved, but after 1 month he find out that his urine output was decreased. What might be the diagnosis? So we will talk about the diagnosis in last. First of all, let's start the topic. So let us start this acute kidney injury from the definition. So acute kidney injury is sudden impairment of the renal function. So what is the renal function? So basically the kidney has a function to excrete out the nitrogenous waste, in urine. So the renal function is basically excretion of nitrogenous waste in urine. But what happens in acute kidney injury, that there is not in a slow process, it is a sudden impairment of the renal function. That is, the excretion of nitrogenous waste in urine is actually impaired, and due to which there is retention of the nitrogenous waste in the blood, as the nitrogenous waste, whatever the nitrogenous waste that is producing in the body cannot be removed out due to impairment of the renal function, resulting the retention of the nitrogenous waste in the blood, and due to which there are some findings that we can get in blood that there is an increased level of blood urea nitrogen that we call BUN. So there is an increased level of blood urea and nitrogen, as the urea and nitrogenous waste product are removed in the from the blood in the form of urine, but as the in AKI there is a sudden impairment of the renal function. That's why the nitrogenous waste and the urea cannot be excreted out, and resulting the increased level of the blood urea nitrogen. Another thing is that the urine, the creatinine is also excreted, but as there is a renal impairment, so there will be increased level of creatinine in the blood. So there is an increased level of creatinine in the blood, increased level of creatinine in the blood, or we can say there is an increased level of creatinine in the serum. So why there is an increased creatinine level? So first of all, what is creatinine? So creatinine is basically the metabolic products that we get from the muscle. So during the muscle metabolism, creatinine is produced, and basically the creatinine is excreted in the urine by the help of kidney, but the function of kidney is impaired. That's why there is an increased level of creatinine in blood. So in acute kidney injury, basically there are three things. Those three things are increased blood urea nitrogen, increased level of serum creatinine, and there is increased level of, there is a decreased glomerular filtration rate. So that is decreased GFR, decreased glomerular filtration rate. So what is glomerular filtration rate? So glomerular filtration rate is basically the amount of blood that is actually filtered out in the renal tubules. So let's suppose this is actually the glomerulus. Let's suppose this is a glomerulus, and let's suppose this is a efferent arteriole, and let's suppose this is the efferent arteriole. Let's suppose this is a glomerulus, this is the efferent arteriole, this is the efferent arteriole. Then whatever the filtration pressure will be here, that due to that pressure, the blood present here is filtered out in the Bowman's capsule, and it is filtered out in the nephron, and the amount of fluid that is filtered out from the blood in the Bowman capsule is known as glomerular filtrate, and in a particular time, what amount of the filtrate is filtered, that is we will call it as a glomerular filtration rate, which is normally 125 ml per minute, but this glomerular filtration rate, that is known as GFR. So in every minute 125 ml of the fluid is filtered out from the glomerulus to the Bowman's capsule, or we can say the nephron, and due to which there is a glomerular filtrate. So there is at a kind of filtration rate. But what happens in acute kidney injury, there is an impairment of the renal function. That's why the amount of glomerular filtration is decreases. So that is less than 125 ml every minute. So that is we will call it the decreased GFR. Now we will see that most of the problem usually are mild or moderate. Most of the problem in the kidney that happens in a sudden way are mild and moderate, and this mild and moderate problem do not need the dialysis. That's why we will call it only as a injury. Kidney injury, acute kidney injury. We will not call it as a renal failure. If the need of dialysis is required, then we will call it the failure. But if the dialysis is not required, then we will only call it as an injury. So basically, acute kidney injury is actually all those condition which have the three things, that is increased BUN and increased serum creatinine and decreased GFR. So if any condition which have these three things in a very sudden way, in a very sudden way, that is not in a long time. If these things is happening in a very less time, then we will call it as a acute kidney injury. So it is a basically heterogeneous group of condition. So those all heterogeneous group of condition that share the common diagnosis of the increased BUNs, increased serum creatinine, decreased GFR, we will call them as a acute kidney injury. So now let's talk about the types of acute kidney injury. So basically there are three broad types of acute kidney injury, and they are pre-renal acute kidney injury, renal acute kidney injury, and post-renal acute kidney injury. So we'll see each type in a very great detail. So let's start. So let's talk about the pre-renal acute kidney injury. So pre-renal acute kidney injury is also known as pre-renal azotemia. So it is also known as pre-renal azotemia, and it is a most common type of acute kidney injury. It is basically the MCQ question. So many of the students get confused that renal AKI is most common type, but that is not true. According to the Harrison latest edition, the most common type of acute kidney injury is pre-renal acute kidney injury. And basically the problem do not start in the kidney. The problem is basically in the blood flow to kidney. So the problem do not start in the kidney. Read this master point. The problem do not start in the kidney. The problem occurs in the blood flow to kidney. So let's suppose this is the kidney, and this is actually the vessels from which the blood is coming. So the problem is in the incoming to the blood. So problem is actually in the incoming of the blood, and we will see different condition where the blood flow to kidney is decreased. So we will talk about that. So pre-renal acute kidney injury. So the first cause of the pre-renal acute kidney injury is hypovolemia. So hypovolemia means decreased blood volume. So whenever the blood volume is decreased, then there will be decreased blood flow to kidney. It is simple to know. It is very easy to know. So whenever the blood, in what condition there will be decreased blood volume. So one of the reason is basically the dehydration. So due to any condition, if you are dehydrated, so much dehydrated, either due to vomiting or diarrhea, or the dehydration in the cholera type of diarrhea, or dehydration due to the burns. So in these cases, due to the less amount of the water in the blood, there will be the decreased blood volume, and if there is a decreased blood volume, there is a decreased blood flow to the kidney. So there is a decreased blood flow to kidney, and if there is a decreased blood flow to kidney, it is obvious that the GFR will get decreased. The amount of filtration of the plasma will get decreased, and this is actually hypovolemia. And another thing is that another reason is congestive heart failure. So in congestive heart failure, what happens? The heart is not working properly. So the heart is not pumping properly. And if the heart is not pumping properly, then the blood flow to the kidney actually decreases. Heart is not pumping the correct amount of blood to the kidney, and due to which there is a less blood reaching the kidney. That's why there is a decreased GFR. So this is the condition with the two causes of the pre-renal AKI. The third cause of the acute pre-renal AKI is massive ascites. So what happens whenever in cirrhosis, there is actually the decreased due to the cirrhosis, there is actually decreased blood flow to the right side of the lung, right side of the heart, that is due to in the right atrium. Most of the blood fluids are actually released out in the peritoneal cavity, in the where the gastrointestinal parts are located in the peritoneal cavity. So this is ascitic fluid, and due to which if there is a less blood going to the right atrium, then ultimately there is a less blood to the right ventricle, and ultimately there is a less blood coming to the lungs, and if there is a less blood in the lung, the less blood will come to the left atrium, left ventricle, and due to which there is a less blood is going in the aorta. And if there is a less blood is going in the aorta, there is a less blood is reaching the kidney. So this question is very tricky. The examiner may ask you that in cirrhosis, what kind of acute kidney injury will be present. Then that will be the pre-renal acute kidney injury. The reason behind is that there is a less blood reaching to the kidney. The blood volume is decreased due to the fluid leaking out in the peritoneal cavity, and if there is a less blood reaching the kidney, then there will be decreased glomerular filtration rate, and that's how it happens in the ascites. And it is known as hepatorenal syndrome. It is known as hepatorenal syndrome. Basically, this hepatorenal syndrome is known as type 1 hepatorenal syndrome. Type 1 is only important. Type 2 is not so important. That's why we will study this. So I think I have told you in a very good way. Now let's talk about the problem number 4. Now to understand the problem number 4, you have to understand the basic thing that how the filtration take place. So let's suppose this is a glomerulus, and this is, we have the Bowman's capsule. This is a, let's suppose this is a Bowman's capsule, and let's suppose this is a PCT, that is a proximal convoluted tubule, and let us suppose this is a glomerulus, and this is, we have the efferent arteriole, and let's suppose this is a efferent arteriole. Now we should know that the blood is actually coming first in the efferent arteriole. So for the incoming of blood, we need the efferent arteriole dilation. For the incoming of blood to the glomerulus, we need efferent arteriole dilation. So remember this point. For the incoming of blood to the kidney, to the glomerulus, we need efferent arteriole dilation. So if the efferent arteriole will be dilated, easily the blood can come to the glomerulus. As the filtration take place in the glomerulus, so our aim is to anyhow stop the blood and make the pool of blood in the glomerulus, so that more of the amount of the blood can be filtered. So our aim is to pull the blood in the glomerulus. But what happens if we, let us suppose, if you enter the blood from the efferent arteriole, but very fast, if the blood will exit out from the efferent arteriole, then the blood will remain for the less time in the glomerulus, and the filtration will be less. That's why what we will do, we will actually dilate the efferent arteriole, but we will actually constrict the efferent arteriole. So if we will dilate this, and if we will constrict this, the blood will remain for the more time in the glomerulus, and due to which the more amount of the plasma can be filtered. So we want efferent arteriole constriction. So so that's, now I think you got understood that for better filtration, we need two things: efferent arteriole dilation and efferent arteriole constriction. If these two things will happen, then the blood will remain in a more time in a glomerulus, and the blood will get filtered out. But what happens in the acute kidney injury in the pre-renal variety? What happens? So in case of the drugs, if you take some kind of drug, let's suppose you are taking the NSAIDs. So you should know that the NSAIDs is basically prostaglandin synthesis inhibitor. So NSAIDs, those kind of painkillers, NSAIDs are basically prostaglandin synthesis inhibitors. But what the prostaglandin will do here? Normally the prostaglandin that is produced in the kidney will actually dilate the efferent arteriole, and that is a good thing. But what NSAIDs will do? NSAIDs will inhibit the prostaglandin synthesis, so there will be PG will be decreased, and if the PG will be decreased, if the prostaglandin will get decreased, then there will be efferent arteriole dilation will not take place. So there will be less efferent arteriole dilation, and due to which, if the arteriole will not dilate, if the efferent arteriole will not dilate, then how the blood will come to the glomerulus? So that's why there will be less blood entering into the glomerulus if there is a NSAIDs intake. So that's why NSAIDs is a reason for the pre-renal AKI. So the one drug was NSAIDs. What NSAIDs was doing, it was basically dilating. It actually inhibit prostaglandin synthesis, and due to which the efferent arteriole dilation is hampered. And if the efferent arteriole dilation is hampered, then there will be GF, then simply the less blood will go into the glomerulus and the GFR will decrease. So this was the problem with the NSAIDs. Now, while talking about, there is some more drug, that is ACE inhibitors. So these drugs, ACE inhibitor and we have angiotensin receptor blocker. So these two drugs, ACE inhibitors, that is angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, and angiotensin receptor blockers, these two drugs are basically used in the hypertension. They are also used in congestive heart failure. But if the person is taking these drugs, what they will do, they will basically, so let's suppose this is a glomerulus, let's suppose this is a efferent arteriole and this is a efferent arteriole. I have already said you, for the better filtration, there will be efferent arteriole constriction. But these are the drugs, ACE inhibitor and angiotensin receptor blocker. They will actually dilate the efferent arteriole. And if the efferent arteriole will dilate, then whatever the blood will come into the glomerulus will easily exit fastly into the efferent arteriole, will not remain for the more time in the glomerulus, as the efferent arteriole is dilated due to the ACE inhibitor and angiotensin receptor blocker, and due to which there will be decreased GFR. So this was the problem with the ACE inhibitor and ARB both. Okay. So these all drugs leads to decreased amount of blood coming to the kidney, or anyhow they will basically decrease the glomerular filtration rate, and these are basically pre-renal variety of acute kidney. They will cause the pre-renal variety of acute kidney injury. So in the beginning I have given you a case that the 60-year male was having congestive heart failure, was a known case of congestive heart failure, and he was having the joint pain, and for the joint pain he take the NSAIDs. And I said you his GFR was decreased, his urine output was decreased. Basically I have told you that his urine output was decreased. Then what might be the diagnosis? So it is now, I think everyone, it is now clear. He was the patient of congestive heart failure. It means already he has the pre-renal acute kidney injury. Already he has the congestive heart failure. So already the blood flow to kidney is basically compromised or less. And in addition he is taking NSAIDs. NSAIDs is what it will doing. The NSAIDs is basically actually not letting the efferent arteriole to dilate. The NSAIDs actually inhibit the prostaglandin, and now there will be efferent arteriole dilation is hampered. And if the efferent arteriole dilation is hampered, then basically the efferent arteriole, it means the efferent arteriole is somehow constricting. And if the efferent arteriole is constricting, already the blood flow is less, then the urine output will surely now decreased, and it will lead to the kidney injury. And this is, we have so the patient was basically of the pre-renal acute kidney injury. So this was the case I want you to know. And now let's again start the topic. Let's take one more case. Let us suppose there is a young person, and this young person is basically having the uncontrolled hypertension. And due to the uncontrolled hypertension, he went to a doctor, and the doctor just checked his blood pressure, and the person said that he is actually using the lifestyle modification for last 6-7 months, but that is not doing any kind of cure to his hypertension. Then the doctor started drugs, and the doctor start basically with the angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors. The doctor gave him the ACE inhibitors, and after some day it was found that his GFR was decreased. After some day the doctor found that his GFR was decreased, and the patient complained that he is having very less urine output. And when the doctor has done the renal function test, then the doctor get to know there was increased blood urine nitrogen level, and there was increased serum creatinine, and there was decreased glomerular filtration rate. So this all indicates the acute kidney injury. So how the person was having basically uncontrolled hypertension, start to take SE inhibitors, but is having now the renal function, is having now the acute kidney injury. So how is it possible? So the reason was that in the young person, usually the essential hypertension do not take place. In the young person, usually the essential hypertension not take place. So whenever the patient came to the doctor should have done his renal function test, and the doctor also should have accessed the renal ultrasonography. And after that, when doctor found that the renal function was impaired, he is having acute kidney injury, the doctor sent it for the renal ultrasound, and the doctor found out there was the bilateral renal artery stenosis. There was bilateral renal artery stenosis. In the bilateral renal artery stenosis, the artery that is going to the kidney is already stenosed, so the blood flow to the kidney is already decreased. Blood flow to the kidney is already decreased. But if the doctor gave him, due to the hypertension, the doctor gave him the SE inhibitors. And what the SE inhibitors does, it basically dilate the efferent arteriole. So due to the efferent arteriole dilation, the filtration gradient was basically decreased. Due to the SE inhibitor, it causes efferent arteriole dilation. Efferent arteriole dilation. And the pressure, the blood, now the efferent arteriole, let's suppose this is the glomerulus, and this is the efferent arteriole. Now the efferent arteriole get dilated, then the blood cannot remain in glomerulus for more time, then there will be less filtration pressure. So we can say that the pressure gradient between the efferent and efferent is decreased. So this is, we will call that the pressure gradient decreases. And due to this decrease in pressure gradient, the blood remains for the very less time in the glomerulus, and that's why there is a decreased glomerular filtration rate, and that's why there was a increased level of blood urine nitrogen, there was a serum creatinine increased, and there was a decreased glomerular filtration rate. So this was the condition that you should keep in mind. If any patient of young hypertension will come, you will find out the exact cause of the hypertension. You will not consider the patient as a patient of essential hypertension. And if someone is taking SE inhibitors as well as NSAIDs, so as we know, the NSAIDs is basically constricting the efferent arteriole, and SE inhibitor is dilating the efferent arteriole. Due to these both things at the same time, the pressure gradient for filtration of the plasma in the glomerulus is very decreased, is severely decreased. And if it is severely decreased, it will cause the very decreased GFR, and there will be pre-renal, so it is also pre-renal acute kidney injury. So if there is a SE inhibitors, and so never give the combination of SE inhibitor and NSAIDs, as this both will combinedly cause the very severe and very high risks of a pre-renal acute kidney injury. Now what happens that in the pre-renal condition, the main thing is that anyhow there is a decreased blood flow to kidney, or we have the condition like that the filtration pressure is decreased, or the filtration pressure of plasma is decreased. Anyhow the condition comes here. But how it will cause the kidney injury? So basically, whenever there is a less blood flow to kidney for a very long time, then what happens that it will ultimately cause ischemia in the kidney. And if there is ischemia, the tubules get damaged, the renal tubules get damaged, and it will ultimately cause the acute tubular necrosis. So in long term, in the prolonged condition of prerenal azotemia, there will be acute tubular necrosis, that the tubular cells of the nephron get damaged. Now we have the second thing, that the renal causes. So after the pre-renal causes of acute kidney injury, we have now the renal causes of acute kidney injury. So renal AKI, or we will also call it as an intrinsic AKI, intrinsic acute kidney injury. Here the problem is not in the blood flow, the problem is basically in the kidney. So the problem lies in kidney. So the problem lies in kidney. The problem is not in the blood flow to kidney. The problem actually lies in kidney. So this is basically the intrinsic or renal acute kidney injury. And in the basically the problem is in the kidney parenchyma, and in the parenchyma we have basically the three things. In the kidney parenchyma we have basically three things. We have basically the glomerulus. So the problem can be in the glomerulus, first thing, or the problem can be in the tubules, renal tubules, that is a proximal convoluted tubule or a distal convoluted tubule or the collecting tubule. The problem can be in any, or the problem happen in the basically the renal microcirculation, or the problem can occur in the renal microvasculature, or you can say the renal microvasculature. And the problem in the renal microvasculature is basically the problem of the kidney. So anyhow, the problem can be of these three things in case of the renal acute kidney injury. The condition that affect the glomerulus are the acute proliferative glomerulonephritis and the membranous glomerulonephritis, the focal segment glomerulosclerosis, and we have the rapidly proliferative glomerulonephritis, lupus nephritis, and the anti-glomerular basement membrane disease. So these are the things, these are the conditions. I have not mentioned all those conditions that affect glomerulus, but these are the some conditions that affect the glomerulus. And the problem that affects the renal microvasculature are hemolytic uremic syndrome due to the Escherichia coli, thrombocytopenic thrombotic purpura, malignant hypertension. We will talk each in very great detail. And the problem that directly affect the renal tubules are SIN, that is the sepsis, ischemia, and the nephrotoxin. And in the nephrotoxin we have the two types, that is endotoxin, that is endogenous, or we have the exogenous nephrotoxin. So we will talk in this also in great detail. So let's start. So in damage to the tubules, the ischemia, the causes of ischemia was the cardiopulmonary bypass surgery, prolonged anesthesia, burns. So burns can be taken in both, that in the pre-renal and the renal variety, and acute pancreatitis. Similarly, we talked about the toxins. In the toxins, we have the exogenous. So in exogenous we have the nephrotoxicity due to the Chinese herbal medicine, due to the drugs like the aminoglycoside amphotericin B, and due to the contrast that we will use in the CT scan or the MRI scan. So the contrast induced nephropathy. So these are the condition, exogenous toxins that will cause the nephrotoxicity, and the endogenous toxin that will cause the nephrotoxicity are basically in case of the mismatched blood transfusion. So whenever there is a mismatched blood transfusion, then there will be the toxicity in the nephron. Another thing we have in case of car crash. So the detail of these all explanation we will talk in the next video, and we will also talk about the treatment. We will talk about the diagnosis part, different classification in the further videos. So I'm concluding this video here only. So thank you for watching this. Please like, comment, and subscribe.